Good morning. You're in the loop. Every week we talk with the people who make San Antonio a better place to live. Thanks for joining us in the loop. Here's your host, Milton Glick.
And welcome to In the Loop. I'm Milton Glick, and that's exactly what we do. We get you caught up with the people and the organizations that make San Antonio a better place to live. And we have a great guest today as we talk to the folks from Guide Dogs of Texas. We haven't talked in a long time, so this is real exciting. And I'm going to welcome right now Katelyn Grun. She is the Philanthropy Manager of Guide Dogs of Texas Incorporated. And we're going to talk about the organization, and then we're going to talk a little bit because she's got a doggy in training up here with us on the interview. And we're going to talk a little bit about all the things that they can do because it is amazing. It is, I mean, it's mind-blowing. So, okay. So, Katelyn, do me a favor. Well, welcome to In the Loop.
Thank you.
Yeah, get a little closer to the mic if you will.
Okay.
There you go. And then, all right, give me the mission of Guide Dogs and maybe a little bit of the history, too.
Okay, so Guide Dogs of Texas was established in 1989, so just over 36 years ago on Valentine's Day, which is a really fun fact that I like to share. And our mission is to enhance the freedom, independence, and confidence of Texans living with blindness and visual impairments through the provision of high-quality guide dogs. So our one mission is to serve Texans through the use of a guide dog. And we only serve Texas residents, and we're based here in San Antonio. So
tell me a little bit. So I know they're guide dogs, and actually what's really cool is when I used to live in Monte Vista, we y'all must have had people walking the dogs then because every day we would see them.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about who's eligible. Who are you helping?
Okay, great. So as I mentioned, Texans who are blind, and what that means is anyone who is a Texas resident and is legally blind or visually impaired according to their doctor. And then also they have to have some level of mobility and comfortability with orientation and mobility of streets and navigating their community. So we want to make sure we're enhancing someone's mobility and not necessarily if someone doesn't leave the home and then we're giving them a dog and then the dog's not able to work the work that they've been taught. We want to make sure somebody's already out in the community and we're just making that navigation a little easier.
And now we'll switch to what I was talking about. And then what dogs are eligible?
Oh, what dogs are eligible? No,
you answered the question I asked.
Oh, good. Okay.
But
the dogs.
Tell us about the dogs that I used to see walking down the street.
Yeah, of course. So all of our dogs are purpose-bred through our program. So they are typically 100% Labrador Retrievers. Some of them have some Golden Retriever mixed in. It's pretty rare. But for the most part, Labrador Retrievers. And they're bred through, we're a part of the International Guide Dog Federation. So some of our dogs have been bred through studs and breeding moms from other countries in the world and generations and generations and generations back that we're tracking. So all of them are purpose-bred to work and not necessarily be a guide dog, but purpose-bred to be a working dog.
Okay. And why just labs?
Oh, that's a good question. So I'm not the dog guy, right? So I'm going to answer this the best way I know how. And it's basically Labradors have a really good temperament for training. They're very food motivated, so they're easy to train because of that. And then also they're one of the few breeds that cares a lot about the person they're helping, but is able to tell them when they're wrong. And why that's important is if you're crossing the street and someone who's blind says, "Hey, Trudy, forward into the street," and there's a car coming, Trudy's going to say, no, we're not going forward. I love you, but no. And a lot of dogs really struggle with that. They say forward, okay, forward, and then, that could be catastrophic. So Labradors are really unique in that way that it's they're able to be disobedient, but in a loving way. So
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll talk about. We're going to go back to that in a second. But as we keep talking, I want folks to know if they want to learn more about Guide Dogs of Texas. What do they do? Where do they go?
Perfect. Good question. Okay,
Thank you.
So you can go to our website, guidedogsoftexas.org, at any time. We have information about getting involved as a volunteer. Mm-hmm. If you'd like to raise a puppy for us, all of our puppies are raised in volunteer homes at no cost to the volunteer. And also, if you're interested in making a donation, we are a nonprofit, so you can do that on our website as well.
Okay, so you talked a little bit. So the website again, you get to say it twice.
Guide Dogs of Texas, Texas spelled out,
Okay.
.org.
.org. Guide Dog of TEXAS.org. Okay.
Yes.
Now let's talk a little bit about, because you mentioned it. What does I want to make sure I ask this question correctly. Yeah. What are some of the things that Trudy, our sample guide dog here, our spokes dog, will do for people? You mentioned going across the street. What kind of freedoms do the dogs give to the people they help?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So, for most people who are blind or visually impaired, they either use a mobility tool like a cane or maybe someone who walks with them and helps assist them. And so what the dog does is, one, allows them to be more independent and not reliant on maybe a spouse or a friend or a parent. But then also the difference between a dog and a cane is a cane, you have to hit something to know it's there. And so when you're walking on the street, it's tough to avoid some things, and then you don't always want to run into things you're trying not to hit, right? So a cane can be really difficult for people, and it also doesn't help them with overhead. So let's say there's a low-hanging tree. A cane won't tell someone that they're about to hit that. A guide dog is trained to see obstacles ahead of time. So not only are they able to avoid an obstacle without hitting it first, right? But they're also avoid obstacles that canes cannot. The other thing that we don't think about a lot because it's less maybe technical, a white cane tends to, if someone sees someone with a white cane walking down the street, they'll jump out of the way. I don't want them to run into me. I don't want to be in the way. But what that does is it limits the social interaction somebody who's a cane user gets. A guide dog, people love dogs. Even when we maybe don't want people to distract the dog as much as they do, people love dogs. And it's almost sometimes an icebreaker for people. Oh, I see you have a working dog, or what's their name? And it's nice to meet you, and tell me more. And it can really enhance people's social interaction in a community, which for a lot of our users, that has been the biggest change they've seen that has changed their life, because they're able to experience life like a person in a community that people aren't jumping out of the way of to avoid them. So that's huge. So Trudy has been taught to ignore people, which is great. So her job is to help her user. So when somebody comes up, she's going to ignore you, which is what she's taught to do. But if you say, hey, can I pet? And her user says, okay, Trudy, you can play, then she's going to get excited and want to say hi. So she's been trained even to handle social interactions when people can't.
That is incredible. And the limb thing was the thing that I was talking about earlier. That's just shocking to me, and that's wonderful, because if you were walking and there was a limb, all the things that the dog can see and warn, and even like you said, the dog sometimes knows better than the person it's helping.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Well, because they have more information.
Okay.
If you can't see something, you don't have all the information, right? So sometimes the dog has, especially with hybrid vehicles or all-electric vehicles.
Oh, wow.
You can't rely on your hearing.
No,
So we used to be able to rely on, I hear a car coming. And so now somebody might say, oh, I don't hear any cars coming, I can cross. And the dog's, there's a car right there, right? So the dog has more information than the user does sometimes, well, a lot of times, which is great. And I also wanted to point out that we talked about avoiding obstacles, which is really great. But the other thing a guide dog is trained to do is to find things. So if you're walking with your dog and you say, hey, Trudy, find the door. Find the elevator, find the stairs. She's trained to do that. So instead of running into things and finding out by, process of elimination, that's not what I'm looking for, you could say, Trudy, and I take Trudy home with me in the evenings, and I'm training her, find the elevator. And she takes me to the elevator. And we get off the elevator, I say, find the door. She takes me to the front door. So it's amazing what they can do, and imagine the efficiency of your life when you can have a partner that can help you find what you're looking for right away. And also the confidence, it doesn't feel good when you're wandering around or, having to scan walls with a cane and dragging your cane along. And then even just the physical noise of being a cane user, right? We have a client who said, I would go to the grocery store with my 12-year-old and I would be using my cane and I'd be hitting the metal bottoms of all the aisles. And it was like, everyone look at me, I have a cane. And with a guide dog, he said, I can go through the grocery store with my 12-year-old and not feel like I'm telling everyone to look at me. I'm just living my life and doing what I need to do, which is one of those small things that you really don't think about unless you're living it.
Yeah, so it's not only that guide dog is not only providing independence, but, and this isn't quite the right word, so maybe you'll think of the right word for me, but a little bit of a dignity too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the confidence, right?
Okay,
the piece of
there you go.
Navigating the world confidently and not feeling like, because it's hard, we're all human, to think, oh, someone's watching me, or I'm not doing that the right way, or what are they thinking of me? That's completely normal. And I can say from personal experience, I've used a cane, and I've thought, I felt a little uncomfortable. This doesn't feel like me, my identity. I said, this doesn't feel like me. And I've walked with a guide dog, and I just felt like I was walking with my head high, like, oh, I feel so powerful. I'm embracing. I'm able to get where I need to go. And it's just this confidence that you can't understand unless you're experiencing it. And that's why we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about it, but it's really hard to explain.
No, I think that our listeners probably have seen someone with a guide dog, but really don't appreciate the difference it makes in their life. They can imagine it, they can and stuff, because it makes sense on one level, but it's like, okay, so that's what we're doing here today, too. Our guest today is Katelyn Grun. She is the Philanthropy Manager of Guide Dogs of Texas. Again, the website, Guide Dogs of Texas, Texas spelled out, .org, and there's lots of things on the website to help you get involved. We're going to talk some more about those things in just a second. Let's see. So do you have, I'm just curious, I want to drop a story in every now and then, and I'm surprising you with this. Is there you mentioned the one story about the person in the grocery store they mentioned. How about another success story where a guide dog, they've come back to you and said, okay, this just changed my life?
Oh, my gosh.
Are those for anybody? No, sorry. I'm just teasing. There's some treats a little bit on there.
Got some dog food on the counter for Trudy. So there's a really cool story. And so we talked about this last year, actually, was one of the stories we highlighted. And we have a client who's actually a board member of ours, which is really great. And his daughter was getting married. And he had recently been matched with a guide dog. So he was within his first year of working with his guide dog, Price. And his daughter's getting married, and she says, Dad, obviously, I want you to walk me down the aisle. And he had a lot of anxiety initially, thinking, I'm going to use a cane walking down the aisle. She's going to have to guide me. That's not, I'm a dad. I want to lead her, right? This emotional thought process for him that I'm not going to be the dad she needs me to be in that moment. And so he gets matched with Price. The wedding day comes, because that from the time you're thinking about walking her down the aisle and the wedding actually happens is year and a half, right? So he finally has this guide dog, Price, and he is leading his daughter down the aisle. She's holding his elbow, right? He's always holding the elbow, and she's holding his elbow, and he's leading her down the aisle. And he told us the only way that was possible was because of his guide dog. And yes, Price was guiding him, but they're a team. And so Price and David led his daughter down the aisle. And he said that was just one of the proudest moments for him, is I got to be the dad I wanted to be in that moment because of his guide dog. And again, that's not one of those helping navigate the world. It's like, it's one of those emotional pieces that you get because of the thing that we all take for granted, which is being able to walk down the aisle and feel confident knowing where you're going. And that's a really good story. And the photos from that are just, of course,
bet.
Any wedding photo is great, but it's a really good photo. So
that is so cool. Yeah. So, okay, how long does it take? So Trudy's in training. How long from the time of puppyhood to being a guide dog?
Great question. So, like I said, most of our dogs are born with us, and we actually start training at 3 days old.
Oh, my goodness,
so,
really?
Yeah, so we talked about volunteering. One of our most exciting volunteer opportunities is between 3 days old and 8 weeks. We have volunteers come in twice a day, 7 days a week, to play, socialize, but play with the puppies. And so you can find that on our website as well to volunteer if you're interested in that. But anyway, so we start at 3 days old, and it takes about 20 months, I would say 16 to 18 months before they are ready to be matched with a client. Once they're ready to be matched with a client, they train for 2 to 3 weeks with that client, and then they're off to the races. So really, they're just under 2 years old when they're really start working. However, we do provide support through the lifetime of the dog match. So we are there supporting the client and the dog through their entire working career, and then even into retirement. We counsel through retirement and through, getting the next guide dog if that's what the client needs. So it's a lifelong journey for us with our clients.
When do the dogs retire?
Typically at 10 or 11.
Okay.
That's the standard. So they'll get 7 to 9 solid working years with the client. And really it's up to them. They tell us. So when they're not excited to go out anymore, you're really having to motivate them just to put their harness on. Maybe they start missing things. That's when, that's one, they're not enjoying it. And two, it becomes dangerous because when they start getting less motivated, that's when maybe they're not stopping you when that car's coming. So we listen a lot to what the dogs are telling us, because when you work with a dog for 10 years and things start changing, you really notice. So
very interesting. Yeah. All right. With our guest today, Katelyn Grun. She is the Philanthropy Manager of Guide Dogs of Texas Incorporated. The website is Guide Dogs of Texas, and Texas is spelled out, .org. And let's do this, Katelyn. Mm-hmm. What else do our listeners need to know? I mean, what do you love talking about? Or did you have a background in animals and dogs before, or no?
I have an interesting. Well, no. Well, I love animals, but no. So I actually went to school. I was a history major. Right?
Oh, okay.
Got a master's degree in educational leadership. Didn't use any of it, of course, as anyone most people with a history degree. But I started working at a nonprofit university, and I realized I really like nonprofit work, but I wanted to learn more about different missions. And so I actually am legally blind myself. I started losing my vision when I was 7.
Oh, wow.
And so I learned about Guide Dogs of Texas when I was 7. My mom started Googling, support for people who are blind. And, I wasn't old enough to get a guide dog at that point, but I knew about Guide Dogs of Texas, and my mom donated, and we'd get the postcards in the mail with pictures of puppies and stuff, right? So when I started thinking what mission I wanted to support, I thought, what are the odds that Guide Dogs of Texas is hiring for this very specific position? And they were. So it felt a little fated. And so I applied. I said, I don't know if I'm qualified, but I'm going to apply because I really want to do it. And I wrote a note and I said, hey, I might not be the right fit for this, but I'll do anything to be a part of your team. And I got to interview, and I ended up getting the job. So really interesting how your life will bring you back to things. And for me, my job is to spread the word about how important our mission is. And I know how important it is because I've been on the wait list. And I've been on the wait list with guide dogs for a little under 3 years, and I've worked there for a year. So I was a applicant before I was an employee, and so if anyone can explain the benefit and the impact of a guide dog, it's someone who uses one. So I think that's what really motivates me to spread the word, and I think that helps my insight sometimes on the emotional piece of the guide dog, because it's easy to explain all the cool stuff they do, but it's hard to explain the feeling that the dog helps you and the companionship the dog helps you with.
Now let's talk, because you brought up the fact that you're on the waiting list for 3 years. What is the waiting list and what is the need? Because I want our listeners, because we're gonna bring up how they can support you, how they can help you. I think they need to know too a little bit about what the need's great.
It is. So we are the only accredited guide dog school in the state of Texas, and we serve Texas residents only, which, is a lot of residents. So statistically speaking, there's over 750,000 Texans who are considered blind or visually impaired in the state. So that's the need, right, quote unquote. We are one school, and our average wait list is 2 years, which is pretty normal nationally. So even bigger schools that are putting out 1,000 dogs a year, people are waiting 2 years on average. So that's pretty normal. But we're, like I said, we're one school, and we currently are graduating about 6 guide dogs a year.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Right. For the entire state of Texas. So you can imagine that's barely one dog for every major city, a year. And that's because it costs a lot of money. By the time a dog is ready to be matched with a client, we've spent about $70,000 on their development. And so it really is the more funding we have, the more dogs we can raise and train. But it's a lot of money. So I can't say it enough. It's a lot of money, and we really do get that. And part of that is some of the dogs don't make it to being a guide dog because guide work is agreeably the most difficult type of work a dog can do. But because we put so much money into the dogs and so much effort and love, we do re-career dogs to other services when possible.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So this year at graduation, we celebrated 2 dogs that went to Seizure Alert. And so they're supporting families in San Antonio who have either their children have a seizure disorder or they have a seizure disorder. And so that way, all of our donors' money, all of our volunteers' love went to this dog, and they're still serving someone in need at no cost in Texas. So we really make an effort to make every dog make an impact because we know how much goes into each dog. We'll
use that as a segue here. What can our listeners do if this story touches them and they want to help? Just like you knew about it and you wanted to be a part of it. What can they do to help?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to get involved. So we're a nonprofit, so donating is a really great way to support our mission. Like I said, our dogs cost a lot of money. It takes a lot to raise them. If a financial donation is not the best fit, we also rely a lot on volunteers. And so every puppy, once they turn 8 weeks old, they live with a volunteer until they're about 14 months old. So if loving puppies and training dogs is more up your alley, we're always looking for puppy raisers. We're also always looking for people we say puppy sitting. And so when our puppy raisers need a break, we have puppy sitters on call, which is a really fun one because, you can have a really cute puppy for a few days and then give it back to someone else, which is my favorite thing to do. And then also if you have ideas or maybe you're a part of a church group or a Girl Scouts group, or there's a civic group that you're a part of, and you think this would be a really fun charity to host an event for. Maybe we can do a fun wine night and invite all of our friends and just tell people about the mission. Those type of things really go a long way for us. The more people who know, one, the awareness for guide dogs in general, to people to know what a guide dog is and how it helps people, but also you just never know who the story's going to touch and the impact that even people in your network can have on us. So
yeah, and then you brought up church groups. There may be someone, this may be an introduction to something they didn't know about, or they may have someone in their world who could use a guide dog, and now suddenly, right. And do y'all do speaking if they want you to come and kind of teach people about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So our CEO has been a guide dog mobility instructor for 30 years. He has a master's degree in orientation and mobility, and he's certified to teach what they call blindness sensitivity training, which is essentially just some, etiquette and maybe just interacting. We always kind of joke, it's like, this is so eye-opening, right? Blindness sensitivity is eye-opening, but that's the best word for it because you don't think about what it's like to navigate the world. Or to help somebody else navigate the world. So we do a lot of speaking about who we are, about the blind community in general, and just advocating for the more people who know, one, how to interact with people and how to interact with dogs. And because we can teach the dog to be the best guide dog they can be, but if every person on the street is waving them down and trying to distract them, it's going to be really hard for them to do their job. So the more we can teach people about what we're doing here is going to help our clients.
That's very cool. Okay, so they can volunteer, they can donate. Is there a fundraiser that you guys do, a big one that comes up each year that they can look for?
That's a good question. Yes, so there's 2. So San Antonio is a part of the Big Give, San Antonio, if we've heard of it. So we do participate in the Big Give. So if you're a Big Give donor, you can always search our page during the Big Give, and we're there. We also have basically our end-of-year Season of Giving campaign going on now. And if you visit our website, on the homepage, you'll see a picture of me and one of our puppies, Willa, and it's my story. And and there's a full video to learn a little bit about my journey as an applicant and the process that we go on and how important our donors are. So there is the active fundraiser now. And like I said, this is a great time. People are in a great mood with the holidays. So if you have a church Christmas party or something you're hosting and you want a special guest, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to join y'all.
All right. Katelyn Grun is our guest today on In the Loop. She is the Philanthropy Manager of Guide Dogs of Texas. They can learn more on the website, I know that, which is Guide Dogs of Texas, Texas spelled out, .org, and on Facebook and on social media. And they can learn more. Before we go away now, you've got about a minute or so. What is it that you want people to know about what you do and Guide Dogs of Texas? I know that's a very broad question.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
No, I think so I think, what we do changes people's lives. And that's hard to explain. But it changes people's lives, and it changes everyone's lives around them. And everyone who works at Guide Dogs of Texas, we're a small team. There's 9 of us, and we all love what we do, and we do it because we care about our clients. And you can really feel that in the way we run our organization. And just because I said it once, but all of our clients receive their guide dogs at no cost. So we are fully funded by donations, and that's how we make what we do possible, and that's how we're able to give dogs at no cost, and we want to keep doing that. So your support means literally the world. We could not do it without supporters like y'all.
Perfect. Nice job. See, I knew you could do it. Katelyn Grun has been our guest. She's the Philanthropy Manager of Guide Dogs of Texas. The website again, guidedogsofTexas.org. If you didn't get it or you want more information, call me here, Milton, at the station. I'll be happy to get it to you. We are going to go say goodbye for today, but you be sure to join us next week as we keep you in the loop.
Thanks for joining us in the Loop. We look forward to bringing you next week's show with Milton Glick.